My name is Mike, and my journey began in the bustling city of Seattle. Ever since I was a kid, I had an insatiable curiosity about technology. I would spend hours tinkering with gadgets, taking them apart just to see how they worked. By the time I reached college, I was brimming with ideas, one of which would eventually change my life forever. During my sophomore year, I came up with a concept for a revolutionary device. The idea was simple, yet profound. A single device that could integrate all the electronic appliances in a house, transforming it into a truly smart home. This wasn't just about turning lights on and off remotely. It was about creating a seamless ecosystem where every device could communicate and function in harmony. I couldn't wait to share my vision with the world. The day of my presentation arrived, and I was both excited and nervous. As I stood in front of my classmates and professors, I laid out my vision in great detail. I demonstrated how this device could streamline daily life, improve energy efficiency, and even enhance security. I could see Sarah, my childhood friend and confidant, nodding along enthusiastically. She had always believed in me, and her support gave me the confidence to press on. However, not everyone was as supportive. Ethan, an old college peer who had always seen me as a rival, was among the first to voice his skepticism. "Are you serious, Mike? Do you really think you can pull this off?" he sneered, his voice dripping with condescension. "This is science fiction, not something a college student can achieve." Laughter erupted around the room, and I could feel my face flush with embarrassment. But I wasn't going to back down. "I understand it sounds ambitious," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "But every great invention starts with a dream. I believe this can be done, and I'm committed to making it happen." Ethan rolled his eyes and muttered something under his breath. The ridicule didn't stop there, though. Over the next few days, I became the subject of jokes and whispers. It was disheartening, to say the least. But every time I felt like giving up, Sarah was there to lift me back up. "Don't let them get to you, Mike," she would say, her eyes filled with determination. "You have something incredible here. Just because they can't see it doesn't mean it's not real." Her unwavering faith in me was a beacon of hope. I decided then and there that I would prove everyone wrong. I would work tirelessly to turn my dream into reality, no matter the obstacles. I set up a small workspace in my apartment and began the arduous task of designing and building the first prototype. There were countless sleepless nights, endless cups of coffee, and moments of sheer frustration when nothing seemed to work. One evening, as I was hunched over my desk, surrounded by wires and circuit boards, Sarah dropped by with dinner. "You need to eat, Mike," she insisted, placing a takeout box in front of me. "I can't stop now, Sarah. I'm so close to a breakthrough," I replied, not looking up from my work. She sighed and sat down next to me. "I know you're driven, but you need to take care of yourself too. You won't be able to finish this if you burn out." I looked at her, seeing the concern in her eyes. "You're right," I admitted, taking a break to eat. I want this so badly. I want to show everyone that this isn't just a pipe dream." "And you will," she said confidently. "But remember, it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to do this alone." Her words stayed with me, and I began to reach out to others who might be able to assist or provide guidance. Slowly but surely, progress was made. The device started to take shape, and with each small victory, my confidence grew. Despite the initial ridicule and skepticism, I knew I had something special. Sarah's unwavering support and my own determination kept me going. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that the dream I once shared in that college presentation was on its way to becoming a reality. As I sat at my cluttered desk, surrounded by disassembled electronics and crumpled blueprints, I couldn't help but feel the weight of the world pressing down on me. The laughter and jeers from my college peers still echoed in my mind. But I had come too far to let their mockery define me. My dream of creating a truly intelligent home, a seamless integration of all electronic devices, was my driving force, and I was determined to make it a reality. path to success was anything but smooth. Countless nights were spent hunched over my workbench, troubleshooting issues and experimenting with different configurations. Every failure felt like a personal blow, but each small victory fueled my determination. The technical challenges were immense, but the lack of funding was an even greater hurdle. I worked multiple jobs, from waiting tables to freelance coding, just to scrape together enough money for parts and materials. One evening, as I was about to call it a night, my phone buzzed. It was Sarah, my steadfast friend and confidant. "Mike, I know you're working hard, but you need to take a break," she said, her voice filled with concern. "I can't, Sarah. I'm so close to a breakthrough," I replied, rubbing my tired eyes. "Understand, but I have some news that might help. I've been talking to someone who believes in your idea. They want to meet you," she said, her tone shifting to one of excitement. "Really? Who is it?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. "They prefer to remain anonymous for now, but trust me, this could be the opportunity you need," Sarah assured me. A few days later, I found myself sitting in a sleek, modern office, nervously tapping my foot. The door opened, and a distinguished-looking man entered. "Mike, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard a lot about your project," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you, sir. It's an honor to meet someone who believes in my vision," I replied, shaking his hand firmly. The meeting went better than I could have imagined. The investor, who chose to remain nameless, was genuinely interested in my work and provided the funding I desperately needed. With this new financial backing, I was able to develop a functional prototype of my device. The sense of accomplishment was overwhelming, and I felt like I was finally on the right track. However, my progress did not go unnoticed. Ethan, now a high-ranking executive at a major tech company, had been keeping tabs on me. He saw my success as a threat to his own ambitions and began to sabotage my efforts covertly. Mysterious glitches started appearing in my system, and crucial components went missing from my workshop. It wasn't long before I suspected foul play. One evening, Sarah and I were discussing the latest setbacks over coffee. "Mike, I have a bad feeling about this. Someone is trying to sabotage you," she said, her brow furrowed with worry. "I know, Sarah. I think it's Ethan. He always saw me as competition," I admitted, frustration evident in my voice. "We have to be careful. He won't stop until he destroys your work," she warned. Despite the mounting challenges, I pressed on. I couldn't let Ethan's underhanded tactics derail my dream. With Sarah's unwavering support and the investor's continued belief in my project, I managed to stay focused. We implemented tighter security measures and worked tirelessly to iron out the remaining issues. Finally, the day came when I was ready to launch my product. The feeling of accomplishment was indescribable. I had poured my heart and soul into this project, and now it was time to share it with the world. Little did I know, Ethan was already plotting his next move to bring me down. As I stood on the brink of success, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought me here. The struggle, the sacrifices, and the unwavering support from Sarah had shaped me into the person I had become. No matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready to face them head on. The day my product launched was surreal. Seeing my device in every major store and eventually in almost every American home was beyond my wildest dreams. The media couldn't get enough of it, calling it the most revolutionary tech innovation of the decade. My smart home device was finally making waves. But little did I know, the storm was only just beginning. One evening, as I was winding down from yet another day of interviews and meetings, my phone buzzed. It was Sarah. "Mike, can we talk?" she asked, sounding unusually hesitant. "Sure, Sarah, what's up?" I replied, concerned by her tone. "I had lunch with Ethan today," she began. My heart skipped a beat. Ethan had always been a thorn in my side, and our rivalry was no secret. He said he was interested in one of my projects and wanted to help. I could sense the unease in her voice. "Sarah, you know how I feel about Ethan." "What did he want?" "He asked a lot of questions about your device. At first, I thought he was just curious. But then he started digging deeper, asking about the technical details. I might have said more than I should have," she admitted, her voice breaking slightly. "Sarah, what exactly did you tell him?" I asked, trying to keep my composure. Enough for him to understand the core technology, she confessed. I'm so sorry, Mike. I didn't realize his true intentions until it was too late. My mind raced. Ethan had always been envious of my progress, but I never thought he would stoop so low. I needed to act fast. Sarah, it's okay. We'll figure this out. Thank you for telling me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying our conversation in my mind, trying to piece together what Ethan could do with the information he had. By morning, I had a plan. I called Sarah. Sarah, I need you to come over. We need to go over everything you told Ethan and see how much damage has been done, I said, urgency clear in my voice. She arrived soon after, looking distraught. Mike, I can't believe I let this happen. I feel so stupid. Don't blame yourself. Ethan is manipulative. Let's focus on damage control, I reassured her. We spent hours dissecting every detail of their conversation. It was worse than I thought. Ethan had enough information to replicate my technology. My worst fears were confirmed when, a few days later, news broke that Ethan's company was about to launch a competing product, claiming it to be their original innovation. I was furious. How could he do this? I shouted, pacing my living room. He knows how hard I've worked. Sarah looked at me, tears in her eyes. Mike, we can't let him get away with this. We need to fight back. I knew she was right. We needed to expose Ethan's deceit, but we needed proof. Sarah suggested we gather all our documentation and present it to the media. We worked tirelessly, compiling every piece of evidence we had. A week later, we held a press conference. I stood in front of a room full of journalists, my heart pounding. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I have something important to share, I began. I laid out our case, presenting emails, development logs, and patent filings that proved the originality of my invention. The room buzzed with excitement and outrage as the truth came to light. Ethan's fall from grace was swift. The public backlash was immense, and his company's stock plummeted. He tried to defend himself, but the evidence was overwhelming. Sarah and I watched as justice was served, feeling a mix of relief and vindication. Mike, I'm so sorry for everything, Sarah said one evening after the dust had settled. Sarah, you have nothing to apologize for. If it weren't for you, I might never have known what Ethan was up to. You saved my invention, I replied, grateful for her unwavering support. We both knew the battle wasn't over. The secret of my technology was still at risk. But together we were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. I was sitting in my office, staring at my computer screen, the glow casting shadows on my face. The revelation had hit me like a ton of bricks. Ethan had stolen critical information about my device. My heart pounded in my chest as I read through the leaked documents Sarah had sent me, highlighting just how much Ethan had managed to acquire. The feeling of betrayal was almost suffocating. Mike, Sarah's voice crackled through the phone, filled with a mixture of guilt and urgency. I had no idea Ethan would use me to get to you. I feel so stupid. Sarah, it's not your fault, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. Ethan is cunning. He knows how to manipulate people. We just need to figure out our next move. Just then, my phone buzzed with a notification. Ethan was planning to hold a press conference, claiming he was the true inventor of the device. The audacity of it made my blood boil. I couldn't let him get away with it. We need to act fast, I said, determination hardening my voice. Meet me at the office. We're going to confront Ethan, and we're going to expose him. Sarah agreed, and within the hour, she was by my side. Together, we formulated a plan. It was risky, but we had no other choice. We needed to gather all the evidence and present it to the media before Ethan could spin his web of lies any further. Arriving at Ethan's press conference, the tension in the air was palpable. The room was filled with journalists and tech enthusiasts, all eagerly awaiting Ethan's announcement. I could see him standing at the podium, a smug smile plastered across his face. The sight of him made my skin crawl. Ethan, I called out, my voice cutting through the murmur of the crowd. All eyes turned towards me as I strode to the front of the room, Sarah right behind me. Ethan's smile faltered for a moment before he regained his composure. "Mike, what a surprise," he said, his tone dripping with false cordiality. "Here to congratulate me." "Hardly," I shot back. "I'm here to expose you for the fraud you are." A hush fell over the room. Ethan's eyes narrowed and he stepped down from the podium, closing the distance between us. "You're making a big mistake, Mike," he hissed. "You have no idea what you're up against." "Actually, I do," I countered, pulling out a stack of documents. "These are the original designs, logs, and emails proving that I am the true inventor of this technology, and I have witnesses, people who have worked with me, and can vouch for every step of the development process." Sarah stepped forward, holding up her phone, which was streaming our conversation live. "And this," she said, her voice steady, "is going out to the world right now." Ethan's face turned an alarming shade of red. He looked around, realizing that the tide was turning against him. "You think this will stop me?" he spat. "I've worked too hard to let you take this away from me." "You didn't work for it, Ethan. You stole it," I replied, my voice rising with each word. "And now everyone knows the truth." The room erupted in questions from the journalists, cameras flashing, capturing every moment. Ethan tried to maintain his composure, but it was clear he was losing control. The evidence was overwhelming, and he knew it. In the aftermath, Ethan's press conference turned into a spectacle of his downfall. The media quickly picked up the story, and within hours, headlines were plastered with news of Ethan's deceit. Sarah and I provided all the necessary documentation to the authorities, ensuring that Ethan would face legal consequences for his actions. As we left the chaos behind, Sarah turned to me, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and sorrow. "Mike, I'm so sorry for everything. I never meant to put you in this position." I placed a hand on her shoulder, offering a reassuring smile. "Sarah, none of this would have been possible without you. You helped me build this from the ground up. We did this together." In that moment, I realized that our bond had only strengthened through the ordeal. We had faced betrayal, but we had also triumphed over it. Now, with Ethan exposed, we could focus on what truly mattered, continuing to innovate and bring positive change to the world. The battle was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of hope and determination. With Sarah by my side, I knew we could overcome any challenge that lay ahead. Facing the ruins of Ethan's credibility and company, I found myself at a crossroads. The choice ahead of me was monumental. Should I share the secret of my groundbreaking technology with the world, or keep it under wraps, safeguarding my hard-earned success? The weight of the decision bore down on me as I sat alone in my office staring at the blinking cursor on my computer screen. Sarah walked in quietly, her expression a mix of concern and encouragement. "Mike, you've come so far. Whatever you decide, you know I'm with you," she said, taking a seat across from me. "Thanks, Sarah," I replied, rubbing my temples in thought. "I just don't know what the right move is. If I keep the technology secret, we stay ahead. But if I share it, it could change everything." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes full of empathy. "Remember why you started this journey. It wasn't just about proving everyone wrong. You wanted to make a real difference in people's lives." Her words resonated deeply. She was right. The vision that had driven me from the very beginning was about transformative impact, not just personal glory. I stood up and walked over to the window, looking out at the Seattle skyline, teeming with life and potential. "You're right, Sarah," I said finally. "It's about more than just us. It's about pushing the entire field of technology forward. If I open source parts of this, it could lead to innovations we can't even imagine." Sarah smiled, a look of pride in her eyes. "I knew you'd make the right choice." The next few days were a whirlwind. I gathered my team and shared my decision. "We're going to release the core components of our technology as open source," I announced. The room buzzed with excitement and apprehension, but the support was overwhelming. The impact was immediate and profound. Developers and innovators from around the world began to build upon our work, creating new applications and improvements at a pace I had never thought possible. The technology landscape was rapidly evolving, and I felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that our contribution had sparked a wave of creativity and progress. One evening, as Sarah and I were going over some new partnership proposals, she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mike, there's something I need to tell you. Remember that anonymous investor who believed in you from the start?" I nodded, curious about where this was going. "It was my grandfather," she revealed. "He was a pioneer in technology himself. He saw in you the same spark of innovation and determination that he had. He wanted to support you without influencing your journey too directly." I was stunned. "Sarah, why didn't you tell me sooner?" She shrugged, smiling softly. "He wanted you to succeed on your own terms, and you did." I was deeply moved. "Thank you, Sarah, for everything. I couldn't have done this without you." Meanwhile, Ethan's downfall was swift and unforgiving. His attempt to claim my invention as his own backfired spectacularly. He faced multiple lawsuits and a hefty fine that wiped out any remaining assets he had. The tech community, once eager to align with his success, now shunned him. His name became synonymous with deceit and failure. As for Sarah and me, we continued to push the boundaries of what was possible. We founded a new initiative focused on ethical innovation, aiming to ensure that technological advancements benefited everyone, not just a select few. Our work garnered global recognition, and we were frequently invited to speak at conferences and collaborate with other visionaries. One evening, as we wrapped up another productive day, I found myself reflecting on the journey that had brought us here. "Sarah, it's been a wild ride, hasn't it?" I said, looking out at the horizon. She laughed, a sound full of warmth and shared memories. "It has, Mike, and it's just the beginning." I nodded, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and purpose. Here's to whatever comes next. In that moment, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we were ready to face them together, driven by the same passion and vision that had brought us this far. The future was bright, and I felt more inspired than ever to continue our mission of making the world a better place through technology.